This is the third, and at least for now, the last video on the subject of Show Don't Tell. Video 1 talked about scenes and point of view and showed how the use of deep third person can take readers inside the characters' heads and show us what they're thinking and how they feel. Video 2 followed a specific incident in a specific book by a specific writer to show how an author who has mastered Show Don't Tell solves the problem of how to show readers something without telling them. Now this third video will look at past and present tense, passive and active voice, and adverbs. Past and present tense won't take long, because I don't think it's an issue. There are people teaching Show Don't Tell who will tell you always to write in the present tense, because that's more involving for the reader. I'm sorry, but that's nonsense. Look at this.
Westwood kneels in the ditch. Behind him is Turkey, ahead Iraq. It feels like he's been waiting for hours, although the reality is he's been here for only a few minutes and Ahmed isn't late. Westwood can't help it. Only activity takes his mind away from the foolishness of what he's committed to. Sitting like this, waiting for someone he's never met and doesn't know for certain he can trust, is agony. And then there's a sound behind him so soft it could be an animal going about its nocturnal business. But this animal is human. Ahmed taps him on the shoulder. Mr. Westwood, this is your last chance to go back. In 20 minutes, you can be in the hotel bar in Erbil. Westwood shakes his head. Take me across.
That was in present tense. Now let's see how it looks in past tense.
Westwood knelt in the ditch. Behind him, Turkey. Ahead, Iraq. It felt like he'd been waiting for hours, although in reality, he'd been here for only a few minutes, and Ahmed wasn't late. Westwood couldn't help it. Only activity could take his mind away from the foolishness of what he'd committed to. Sitting like this, waiting for someone he'd never met and didn't know for certain he could trust, was agony. Then he heard a sound behind him so soft it could be an animal going about its nocturnal business. But this animal was human. Ahmed tapped him on the shoulder. Mr. Westwood, this is your last chance to go back. In 20 minutes you can be in the hotel bar in Erbil. Westwood shook his head. Take me across.
Yes, it's different, but less immediate, less involving for readers. No. The choice between present tense and past tense is one you make based on what you want for the book. It has nothing to do with Show Don't Tell. But passive and active voice are a different matter. Here's an extract from the same book that you've just heard the prologue to. Incidentally, the prologue was written in present tense and the rest of the book in past tense. You can mix tenses up like that, it's okay.
Jensen Bartholomew, well-fed and self-satisfied, was zooming with his brother, Cedric, when the door behind him opened, and a figure entered covered head to foot in a black gown and wearing a Guy Fawkes mask. As Jensen watched, the figure wrapped something around Cedric's neck and pulled it tight. Cedric half rose from his chair. His hands struggled to free himself, and his feet stamped a furious tattoo on the worn lino beneath them. But the figure did not relent. Cedric sank out of sight. The figure leaned in close to the screen and pointed through it at Jensen. In a deep and gravelly voice, it said, "You're next." Then the screen went as dead as Cedric.
That's written in active voice. There are times when you have to use the passive voice, but they aren't many, probably fewer than people imagine. For example, one popular guide to writing style says the only acceptable way of saying too many people die on British roads is too many people are killed on British roads. And that's passive because it's about what is done to the people and it doesn't say who's doing it. But that isn't the only way to say it, is it? Because I said too many people die on British roads. That's active voice. And if you take that passage we just read about Jensen Bartholomew watching a masked figure killing his brother Cedric, changing any of those sentences to passive voice would reduce the impact. But I first wrote the sentence you just listened to as, That passage we just read about Jensen Bartholomew watching his brother being killed, which is passive voice. That's what happens after you spend enough time correcting passive to active. It becomes second nature. You catch yourself in the act and you change it. Finally, adverbs. Adverbs are the death of good writing, and they kill, show, don't tell, because they imply instead of telling. The next scene after the one we just read starts like this.
It took a while because Jensen Bartholomew sat for some time staring at the screen on which he had watched his brother die. Eventually, he did what he ought to do, and very soon after that, the Batterton Police Control Room put out a call to PC Jamie Pearson and his new mentee, who were closest to the address Jensen had provided for Cedric. Attend a Grade 1 call to 24 Dryden Close. We've had a report from a Jensen Bartholomew that he has just seen on Zoom his brother, Cedric Bartholomew, strangled at that address. We are trying to get more information, but please attend with caution. We are trying to arrange backup.
That scene is almost perfect. Almost, because that word very shouldn't be there. If we said soon after that instead of very soon after that, we lose nothing. Here are some of the most commonly abused adverbs. If you find yourself regularly using any of these, stop. Find a better way to do it. Here's just one example.
You know, he said teasingly.
No! No, 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 no! It is not the reader's job to work out what you mean by teasingly. It's your job to show the reader that the speaker intends to tease the person he's speaking to. Yes, I know that means more work. You want to be a writer, don't you? Nobody said it was going to be easy. It isn't. I've given you a list of some of the words you need to avoid. It isn't exhaustive. You'll always write adverbs, everyone does. But just like passive voice, once you get into the habit of spotting them and rewriting the sentence, your writing will improve and the number of people who want to read what you write will increase. That's what you want, isn't it? That's the end of the third and so far final video on Show Don't Tell. If you want to know any more about writing and how to do it and how to succeed, and about how I can help you in the process, check out the link in the comments.